It's time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hi, guys. Welcome back. And look who we have here with us today. Hi, Monica. How are you?
Hey, everyone. I'm well. How are you, Adam?
I'm good. I'm so happy to have you back. It's always a pleasure. Now you have me addicted on your blog because you're dropping all of these exclusives. I can't stop watching and reading.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we're spilling all that tea over there.
Oh my gosh, you're busy.
Yeah, it's been a busy year, just starting off crazy. It's been a crazy year so far. So much happening.
All right. Well, speaking of crazy, I did want to thank you, like I said, for coming on and joining me because you dropped some juicy news. I think it was last week, right? Yeah, it was last Monday, right?
Yeah, last Monday. Mm-hmm.
Last Monday, where you dropped the news about Braunwyn and this whole illegal substance scandal with Shannon's daughter. And then we saw it play out at the end of the first part of the reunion. Mm-hmm. And then we saw it kind of bleed into this second part. I don't know if you felt the same. You watched it, right?
I did, yes.
Do you feel like they just totally passed over this like it was nothing?
Absolutely. They just glossed over it like it was no big deal.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, for the first time ever, this is going to go down in history. I agreed with Kelly Dodd when Shannon said that, it wasn't really a big deal. And Kelly Dodd said, no big deal. And she made that face that she makes and looked around the room like, are these people crazy?
Yeah. And guys, mind you, this is the photo. Obviously, Shannon did, take the apology rather well, especially knowing the fact that Shannon is or has the capability of being so extra and over the top in her reactions. Bronwyn started crying, put us on the whole tear campaign, and all of a sudden it was over. And I was wondering, was somebody in Andy's ear? Like, did somebody tell him, like, no, we have to skip past that. We shouldn't talk about that. Don't bring that up. Like, how was this so heavily passed over? I'm just baffled. They emphasized more on Kelly saying the kind of ridiculous comments about COVID than they did about Bronwyn allegedly, well, not even allegedly, she admitted to it, offering a child, a 14-year-old minor, an illegal substance.
Privilege. That's the best way to put it. These people sit in a place of privilege. And to be quite honest with you, in their community, in the OC, Newport Beach, teenagers and drugs is not a big deal. See, Shannon knew since 2019. Shannon found out before last season's reunion, because that's when it happened. At John's house, there was a beach party where Bronwyn approached Stella by herself. Now, if you ask me, I honestly feel she wasn't drunk. I feel she knew exactly what she was doing, and that's why she approached that young lady by herself. Very predatory-like behavior. And at the time, Shannon and Bronwyn were friends, so it wasn't a big deal for Shannon back then. But then when they fell out, and Bronwyn accused Shannon of being an alcoholic, that's when she used it as reunion ammunition 2 years later.
Wow. Yeah, this was interesting because you could totally see, and Shannon has already admitted that they had a conversation already about this, her and Bronwyn, and she apologized, right? Bronwyn did, but she didn't want to upset Bronwyn's sobriety by bringing it up, which to me, I've said this since day one of finding out. If it were my kid, I would not give two what about somebody's sobriety when you're trying to affect my kid's sobriety.
Oh no, yeah, Bronwyn would have got an ass whooping from me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would have rolled up on her at her house and it would have been on and popping. And then I would have called the police and then I would have called David. She never notified the police or David or made a big deal about it. Which leads you to believe what's really going on in Shannon Bedore's house,
Guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like button. I want to continue this conversation, though, because, again, it was so heavily passed over on the episode, and I just couldn't put my finger on why, and you said privilege, but Kelly Dodd has white privilege as well, so why was she so attacked over the COVID thing, which I understand. Hey, listen, she made ignorant comments and she should have to answer for them. But why was that so here? And then this was like over here.
I don't think it was. I don't think, because Kelly came out recently. Actually, I'll give you a little backstory. How I found out about this to begin with is because of Kelly running her mouth to a friend of mine. And Kelly specifically said cocaine. That's how I found out about all of this last week. I didn't know about it because I don't watch OC. I haven't been covering it this season. I've watched it previous seasons, but since the OGs left and Kelly started acting very racist, I boycotted the show. But then a friend called me up who's very close to Kelly, and she doesn't know that me and this person are close as well. And they told me the whole story. I couldn't believe it. Then they showed me screenshots of the DMs between her and Kelly. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go with the story. I believe it now. Yeah, Kelly specifically said in those DMs and verbally to this person, cocaine. But then Kelly came out, then Bravo got involved naturally because, listen, they don't want to be complicit in an adult offering a minor drugs. Because let's hypothetically say they didn't know, that this happened 2 years ago or a year ago, and they just found out at the taping of this reunion. Bravo, everyone on that stage, every adult was obligated to go file a police report in the best interest of the child. So, and none of them did. So Bravo put the hush hush, I was told, on everyone. But before they can do that, Kelly went running her mouth and said in an interview that Stella spoke to her directly and said she was offered Molly. Okay, it's still illegal. Molly it's more dangerous than cocaine, if you ask me.
My God.
Molly creates holes in your head, in your brain. Yeah.
Okay, so regardless, it was an illegal substance, and is Molly a narcotic as well?
Major narcotic. Absolutely, it's illegal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to. Sometimes I come on here and I put my foot in my mouth because I don't know what all of the terms mean. But no, okay. So with that being a narcotic, this is absolutely 100% illegal. Now, with it since this is aired, do you think anybody could call the police on her at this point, right? And just show the evidence and just show the fact that her admitting it on the show and being like, I am so sorry I did that. I was drunk. And that doesn't mean if I walk into a Walmart and I rob the Walmart because I've had a great night at the bar and I'm just like, doesn't matter. Guess what? If I get caught stealing from Walmart, I'm still going to be charged with whatever they charge you with. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make it less illegal because you're under the influence. If that were the case, people would go around and, they would commit crimes all the time and be like, guess what?
I was drunk.
What does that mean?
Nothing. And I don't even think she was drunk. I think she was functioning in her full capacity. She was not drunk. I think this is a repetitive behavior. If you notice, Emily even said, so, what's going on in your household, Braunwyn? You have 7 kids. Has this been, said to your kids? And she said, maybe, probably is what she said. Go back and listen to part 2. She said, probably. This is not, if anyone thinks that Stella was the only child Braunwyn has approached with this type of offer, I don't know. I got a bridge to sell you. No, it's predatory behavior. This is something that she normally does. And it's really sad. My problem is, Adam, why was there no disclaimer? Bravo doesn't condone offering drugs to a minor, like they did at the RHOP reunion when they said they had this big old disclaimer about not tolerating violence and condoning violence. The double standard, it's a double standard for me. It's a scandal. Yeah.
No, and that makes sense. And these issues are like, for people to say, oh, well, you're making it into, and everybody walks the line, especially in comments and stuff. And people will say, why are you making it a this thing? Or why are you making it a that thing? But it does seem very privileged, if that's safe to say, the fact that this was just so easily scanned over. I mean, Phaedra Parks was kicked off of Bravo for alleging that Candy and her husband tried to drug Portia and bring her down to their little hookup dungeon, right?
So, yeah. An allegation that wasn't even, true. It didn't physically happen. Phaedra said, I heard Candy has a sex dungeon. She told Portia that. And Candy and Todd want to drug you and have a sex orgy with you. It was just an allegation, a rumor. And Phaedra was fired before she even got to the dressing room.
Right.
Braunwyn, instead, she burst out in the tears and she's being coddled and being comforted by Emily and told, it's okay. We all make mistakes. It's okay. Listen, the double standard, it's a double standard for me, like I said. White privilege was on display at that reunion, and it was disgusting to watch, Adam. It really was heartbreaking.
I mean, I don't think anybody could deny this. And here's the moment, too, where I'm sure this wasn't that one specific moment, but you made a good point, which is Kelly Dodd is not always technically the voice of reason, right? She's not. She says really outlandish, ridiculous things. And, she's all over the place. But she was really the only one at this reunion who kind of spoke up and said, what? Like, Shannon, you're just going to scan over that? Like, what? And like you said, she's looking around like, am I crazy? Did anybody just hear the same thing that I heard?
That's the one time I'm going to agree with Kelly Dodd. However, I don't think her intentions were genuine. She really hates Braunwyn, and she really wants to get Braunwyn off that show. So she is going to jump on anything bad involving Braunwyn. But had her and Braunwyn been friends, because Kelly Dodd also knew about this for quite some time and didn't go to the police.
Okay. Well, gosh, honestly, she should, and I never want to see anybody lose their job or livelihood ever. I would never. And people have to feed their families, especially when you have 7 kids, like, you have to feed your families, but people also in the same breath need to be held accountable for their actions. And this is just something as a network that they shouldn't even provide a platform for, or a person like this. And I really used to like Braunwyn, but after this just, there's no excuse or answer, rhyme or reason why this would be acceptable in any capacity. It makes you kind of cringe. And just like people want to see Erica Girardi kicked off of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills because they feel like she lives her glamorous life on blood money, people are going to want the same thing from Bravo to do with Braunwyn. They're going to want her off the show because, one, like Gina said, it was very triggering, the fact that she put her hands on her husband. And had that have been a man, it would have been different circumstances, because we're seeing that play out with Gina and her husband right now, where he was facing felony charges. So, okay, 1, you can't put your hand on your spouse. 2, this scandal. This is a minor. My mind is
14 years old. Who is protecting this child? No one has. It seems, in my opinion, none of the adults involved in this situation have the child's best interest at heart. It's all about protecting their jobs, or protecting Braunwyn's sobriety, or protecting Bravo. I talked about this on my channel. The day after I went live on YouTube and I spilled this tea last Monday, Tuesday, 6 p.m. my time, Central, I received an email from a Bravo executive who has emailed me numerous times in the past, always with, you need to change your title, or can you do me this favor? Can you do me that? And she adamantly stressed that Braunwyn does not have a dealer, which we heard Shannon pretty much said, Braunwyn tell her daughter, if you want the good stuff, drugs. Shannon actually said the word drugs last night. Okay. I guess they couldn't edit out that little part of it. She actually said drugs. Call me. I have dealers. I have contacts. I have connects. In that email, the Bravo executive said to me, can you take out the part about a dealer? Because Braunwyn doesn't have a dealer, and it wasn't cocaine. Something was said, but it's not sensationalized like you're making it. Everything I said is what happened on the reunion. Braunwyn offered a minor drug in particular being cocaine. Okay, y'all edit out the cocaine part, but still, I have receipts, and I forwarded all those receipts to the Newport Beach police. I sure did.
Did you?
Absolutely.
That's what I was going to ask you, is that, you know, can anybody watching the show call the police on Braunwyn, even if they're not affiliated in any capacity? Like, can just your everyday fan from Wisconsin call Newport Beach PD and be like, hello, you need to look into this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. First, you know, they need to subpoena all the raw footage from that reunion, the things that were edited out. They need to see that. They need to hold all the parties that sat there and didn't report this complicit. Yeah, Bravo's trying to save their ass. You know, I heard a gag order was placed on everyone. I heard Shannon's not allowed to talk about it anymore. I heard Kelly Dodd is in big trouble for revealing the Molly in that interview. And other things. She said Molly and other things. Okay, we know you don't need a dealer for alcohol. You don't really need a dealer for marijuana. That's legal in California. She said Molly and other things. So absolutely. I mean, I urge everyone listening, everyone who watched that reunion, to go call the Newport Beach police. We're stronger in numbers. I'm looking out for the interests of the child because no one else is.
Okay. You know, Dana said, and thank you for the super chat, Dana, if I am drunk and kill someone, is that okay? Or if I hand someone the plans to do a heist, is that okay? And then also, Dana, thank you again for another super chat. She said, yep, Andy is not exactly the Pope, so I know he doesn't want to hold anyone accountable in that moment. Let's be honest. This is dirty. Lauren said, so cocaine was proven. There's evidence, question mark? Well,
I think the evidence to the Newport Beach police where Kelly Dodd in writing said it was cocaine in this DM to a close friend of hers, who's also a close friend of mine. Yeah. And they need to question Stella so Stella can tell them. And they need to subpoena the raw footage from that reunion so all the things that were edited out can be revealed.
Wow. And if in fact, so actually help me piece this together for a second, please. What would the next step be for the Newport Beach PD? Would they just take this as okay, we got a tip and not really look into it? Or now that it's been sent to them, do they have to investigate it since it does have something to do with the child?
I would think based on the laws of California, a crime was committed. And in that sense, their crime enforcement agency, they need to investigate it. They're obligated to investigate it. Absolutely.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, moving on, there were a few, I guess, more lighthearted moments in this reunion, especially with Kelly Dodd. I had this, I'm sure you're busy, but I had this beautiful woman the other day who joined me. Her name's Aika Wong. She was on Big Brother in Canada, and she does like Entertainment Tonight hosting and stuff like that. She came on and we had the conversation about Kelly Dodd screaming across the room, "I'm Black." And that was her way of justifying the fact that she wasn't necessarily partaking in the Black Lives Matter movement, but she says she gives back to the LGBTQIA community behind the scenes, and she gives back to the Black Lives Matter movement behind the scenes. And pretty much all of the women were standing around saying, we all give back and we all contribute, but we don't always need it to be a photo op. What did you think, though? And I've been asking everybody on my lives this. What was your opinion when Kelly Dodd screamed across the room, "I'm Black"?
Insulting. I'm a real Black woman. And she published her Ancestry.com DNA report, and it said like she was 1.3% Saharan African or some crap like that. Insulting, mocking. It wasn't funny. It wasn't comical. I know Kelly thought she was having a moment and everyone would laugh about it. But I didn't. Knowing all of the discriminatory things that she said about Black Lives Matter, about Black people, and then personally knowing what she said. You know, her brother, Eric Meza, and I used to talk every day for like 3 months about 2 years ago. And he told me so much about Kelly. One of the things he said is that Kelly uses the N-word regularly and does not like Black people. And that was coming from her brother. And I totally believed it based on what we see of Kelly Dodd today. So I was very much insulted. I thought she was mocking Black people.
Well, Andy made a good point in this reunion by saying, you know, like, you haven't walked through life as a Black woman, you know, and also when you check that box, whether it says white, Hispanic, Alaskan, Native American, you know what I mean? Or I don't even know if it says Alaskan. Maybe I think it does. But you know, like, she would check the box that says white.
Absolutely. She identifies as a white woman, and she's half Mexican, okay? And you can be Mexican and white. Mexican doesn't make you you could be European Mexican. Her daddy is Mexican and her mama is white. She's a white woman. She identifies as that, and she's walked through life as that, not in the shoes of a real Mexican person. And she has not been discriminated against. And the fact that she's trying to use that, weaponize it, and use it as some sort of fodder for reunion or to, you know, prove that she's not racist is pretty insulting and disgusting. Don't insult our intelligence, Kelly. No.
Catherine, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like button, show Monica some love. Go check out her YouTube channel, All About the Tea. Yeah, of course. I love having you on here. This is like, honestly, this conversation is like stimulating my mind because it's a real conversation about things that happen every single day in people's lives. And when I hear sometimes, and I don't like to get in too deep into these conversations unless we have to, but I just want to say, when I hear sometimes from people I know around me who say that white privilege isn't a real thing, or like, well, whatever, that's an excuse. Like, I just really don't believe that. And I think that white privilege obviously it's definitely a thing. And for Kelly Dodd to sit there in the moment and say, you know, when Andy Cohen went around the room and said, you know, I think everybody here identifies as, you know, a white woman, and I think that we all have white privilege. Kelly Dodd was the only one who said, I don't. And I was like, oh my gosh, this woman has the ability to constantly put her foot in her mouth. And I don't know if it's for the shock factor, if she wants the shock factor for people to laugh, like you said, or think that it's comical, but this is like next level.
Absolutely. It's insulting. And, you know, Kelly Dodd is used to being a comedian of the group, always saying off the wall things. But she crossed the line with this one because Mexican is a nationality. You know, it's not an ethnicity. You can be Mexican and white. And she clearly identifies as being a white woman, and she's walked in a white woman's shoes her whole life. And she's gained privilege from that, as they call it, white privilege. So her going on and on about her being Mexican and a minority was just ridiculous and insulting and embarrassment. I had secondhand embarrassment with Kelly Dodd last night. Really, I did.
Well, I want to say Shannon Ban said, I just want to know why Bravo doesn't have clear workplace standards, different rules for everyone. You find that to be true?
Good point. I mean, where's the human resources? It should be an even a level playing field across the board. What you do on the Black shows, you need to do on the white shows. It's clear discrimination. I mean, when it came to Monique and her husband, they made this honest man who doesn't have a police record out to be a thug, with Giselle bringing the bodyguards on there, painting him as this angry Black man. You know, all of the little racist rhetoric things that Andy Cohen said to Monique. It's just unacceptable. I mean, they make this big disclaimer about not condoning violence. Where is the disclaimer for not condoning drugs being offered to a minor?
Or racism or homophobia or discrimination in any capacity.
Absolutely, Adam. Yeah.
I have another question for you, because I've found people in comments, not just on my channel, but I've seen comments like all over the board, because this Drunk Wives Matter hat was a big deal. A lot of people thought it was so insensitive of Kelly, but then other people were like, you know, she was at her bridal shower, she put the hat on, and it was just a play on the fact that there were a bunch of drunk wives there, and they thought it was kind of cute, funny, and gitchy. Had nothing to do with the Black Lives Matter movement. Mind you, it sounded the same, Black Lives Matter, Drunk Wives Matter. wives rhymes with lives, matters at the end of it. You know what I mean? It could obviously be extremely insensitive, but I'm curious if you have an opinion. Does that hat, her posting it on her public platform, knowing that it was going to be seen by everybody, do you find that to be insensitive to the movement, or do you feel like it's totally separated?
No, it was totally mocking the movement. And it was, Kelly Dodd doesn't care. She does things for shock value. And then afterwards, she plays victim in the backlash of it. It was totally mocking Black Lives Matter. And I think she knew that. I don't think she was dense to that. She knew that, but she just didn't care at the moment. She was riding high off of being with Rick Leventhal, who's a staunch conservative, and she thought it was cute and funny. And you saw the backlash from it. People held her accountable, which is good, which is really good. No, I don't think she was totally oblivious to what she was doing and it was just a joke. No, who even makes jokes like that? Come on.
Right.
At the height of the Black Lives Matter movement too.
Right. No, and Hermione said, I'm really enjoying the frank discussion. Thank you, Adam and Monica. Thank you for watching, Hermione. I have a few more questions about this too. She also, you watch the women kind of cringe because she said that she agrees with protesting, but she doesn't agree with the looting and all of that. I can tell you, I just recently moved to Florida, in October. I was in Los Angeles for everything that was happening, and peaceful protesting, right? Anybody should be able to peaceful protest. But there were elements too there was somebody who drove through the neighborhood and our neighborhood and started shooting a gun out of their car and stuff. There were moments that did get very intense and somewhat scary. Would you say that is true or no? With the looting or people getting trampled over, is that, should there be a line there?
That's never right. I never want anyone to get hurt in protests, but I saw the same behavior at Capitol Hill. I saw the same things being done at Capitol Hill.
Right.
And none of it's right. You can protest and you can do it peacefully. Some people took it way too far. You never want to see it. And people got killed. Some people were seriously injured. People lost eyes and limbs and all kinds of stuff. And a lot of businesses were burnt. And I never want to see it get that far, but I understand the pain. Sitting in my seat through my lenses, I understand the pain and not having a voice and being marginalized and just angry and acting out. Is it right? No, it's not on either end. Because I saw it again at Capitol Hill. Where's her outrage there? Where's her tweet about that?
Which was, no, again, I couldn't even, and it's not good to run away from watching things and stuff, but even when I saw what was happening on Capitol Hill, it was I was just like, this is absolutely ridiculous. I had to turn my TV off. I'm like, I can't watch this. This is scary. This is next level, uncalled for. It's just, I don't want to get political on here or anything, but it's scary. It's it doesn't matter. It's all across the board. Sometimes, especially Capitol Hill, it got taken to a whole new level.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. A lot of the people doing the looting and the violence were not even part of Black Lives Matter. They weren't.
Well, I also want to ask you, and I don't want to make this a bash Braunwyn thing at all. It's just simple. We're talking about facts that came out on the recap, right? Or on the reunion. Do you feel the women feel Braunwyn does what she does for a photo op, and they feel like that's the reason that there's a paparazzi there, that somebody's taking her photo to make her look good? But then at the same time, I feel like if somebody joins into a movement or protesting or peaceful protesting in any capacity, I don't think you can take that away from them, because in the same breath over on Real Housewives of Atlanta, you have Kenya trying to mock Portia, saying, why is it every time she's getting arrested, it's because there's cameras around and she, she's only putting herself out there for a photo op. I don't feel like that's fair.
Well, the press is already out there. When Portia is, I can't compare Portia to Braunwyn. When Portia goes out and does her protest, it's with a big group of people that have big names, right? Yandy Smith and all these other people, and the cameras are already there. The press is already there.
Right.
I think Portia's doing it from the heart. I believe she's a true activist. I applaud that sister for being on the front lines.
Right.
I would not compare what she's doing to what Braunwyn's doing. I think Braunwyn's doing it for publicity and also to divert attention. In my opinion, Braunwyn is using Black Lives Matter to divert attention from her mother calling a Black man the N-word 2 seasons ago. You remember that, Christopher Keys? I actually interviewed him on my YouTube channel last Monday. He appeared on the first season Braunwyn appeared on, where there was a fashion show and her daughter walked in it, and her mother was entering an unauthorized area of the boat, and there was a scuffle, and she called one of the co-producers of the show the N-word. And then Braunwyn backed up her mother with that. She backed up her mother. I've written blogs about it. Y'all can go to allaboutthetea.com. You can go to my YouTube. I talk about it. So I think personally, Braunwyn was using that movement to deflect. She had never done anything before. It's not like she has a history of supporting marginalized people of color. No, this was all for a storyline. It was all for deflection. Yeah, Portia's doing it. Portia's intentions are genuine and true, not Braunwyn's.
Right. And see, and I think that's why a lot of people even got so upset with, including myself. I thought what Kenya was saying about it was absolutely ridiculous. Again, like I said, you can't take away the fact that she put herself on the forefront, right there on the front lines. You can't take that away from Portia. So I agree with you. Remain Teachable, thank you so much for the super chat. No, the violence is not right. However, Black people have been trying to be heard for 400 years. I
agree with that. Yes.
There's so many heavy topics, I think, on this reunion, especially when you're talking about minors and the BLM movement and the insensitivity of a global pandemic. I'm just curious. Again, I told you I would keep this short for keeping you on. I'm curious, what do you think the future of this franchise, specifically Real Housewives of Orange County, looks like at this point?
Well, in the words of Andy Cohen, reboot. He just tweeted that. Someone else was asking if he should fire the whole cast, and he said, no, reboot. But I had been hearing that. I'm actually dropping an exclusive next week about that, the future of RHOC, because I got some tea on it, Adam. Yeah, that show is going to be overhauled.
Wait, so reboot, when someone says reboot, that could mean like reboot. Okay, let's start fresh for season 16. Let's kind of try to go in a more light, positive direction. Or reboot could mean like, okay, cast shakeup. Like, what do you, unless this is going to ruin your exclusive, which I don't want you to do that. How do you interpret the word reboot?
Definitely might ruin my exclusive. So
no, don't do it then. No, well, let's save it.
Adam, I'm gonna have you on that show if you'll come on, and I'll spill all that tea, because I heard it actually last week. I heard all this stuff last week, what was going to be going on with the new season, and it's major. It's major. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love it. Hey, I love it. All About the Tea exclusive. I'll be there. All right. Well, Monica, I know that we didn't talk about much of the other stuff to do with this, but I wanted to just talk about kind of what the reunion was based about. We do know Elizabeth Lynn Vargas. She faced the hardships of growing up in a cult, which is awful. I would never want to have that experience, and I feel so bad for anybody who's lived through that experience. That's terrible. Mm-hmm. And GINA going through domestic violence. Again, I don't condone violence in any capacity, like especially a man hitting a woman. And people always say there's a double standard. Why? Like, women shouldn't hit men either. No, nobody should put their hands on anybody. That's the point. But I'm sure it would be traumatizing for a woman who's much smaller than a man to have him lay their hands on her. Right. So That's traumatizing. Again, this was just a heavy reunion. So I'm curious to see what's upcoming, what we have to look forward to. And yeah, we'll look forward to your exclusive. I can't wait. And yeah, just let me know when and I'll be there.
Adam, what were your thoughts on Kelly Dodd calling Andy Cohen un-American because he didn't support Trump? What were your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that, just to be fair, one, I found it to be deflection, because she was deflecting the fact that he was talking to her about a pandemic. And Andy Cohen always says this. He's like, listen, I'm not the one who signed up for a reality show. You did. But at the same time, Andy Cohen is he is like the father of Bravo. He's the face of Bravo, and he's on a public platform. So he has to justify what he says and how he believes about certain things too, right? I don't like to get political, but there are a lot of things that our country has been very divided the last 4 years. And there are a lot of people who don't or didn't agree with our former president. And, you know, Andy Cohen likes to tweet out some facts. And one was like not letting trans people into the military and not supporting same-sex adoption or something like that. I'm not sure. Again, that's why I don't want to list out facts or anything, but those are things, as I can't relate to a Black woman, but I can relate to a gay man. You know what I mean? We all have our differences in what we've been through in life. And I can tell you, there are people who have their lives taken away from them because they are part of the LGBTQ plus community. You know, there are people who get beat up every day. There are people who are not accepted, who are on the outs with their family. And it's just hurtful when you have somebody who you would look to as a leader for our country passing certain things that might affect that or make people feel a certain way towards your community, whatever that is, whatever ethnicity or religion or whatever your status is as far as how you identify yourself as a person or your sexuality. It's hurtful when people attack that. It's not right. So, I mean, anti-American, I wouldn't call Andy Cohen anti-American at all. I just think that everybody has their own beliefs and they've been through their own hurt, and we can relate differently on those things.
Absolutely. And the most American thing is expressing your beliefs, right? That's right. Our First Amendment right. So what she was saying made no sense to me. You're condemning Andy Cohen for expressing his First Amendment right. The most American thing is sharing your beliefs and your whether political or otherwise. So it just didn't make any sense. And Andy didn't appreciate it. I saw the look on his face and I said, girl, you done that.
You can't go, see, that's the thing too. You can't go after, like even Vicky last season when she came onto the reunion floor and she's like, don't ever do that to me again. He's like, what? She's like, you left me back there in the room. You didn't bring me out. And from the very beginning, I started this show. It's like, whoa, you have to take it down. This is still your boss. And for Kelly Dodd, yes, people wanted her to answer about mocking a global pandemic. You can't recklessly have a public platform and put out the words that this is God's way of thinning the herd. You can't do that. You have a public platform. And as crazy as it sounds, some people might look up to her and actually then, because she said it, agree with it just because she said it, because they're such a big fan of her. And that's where it gets dangerous and scary. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And Andy Cohen is a sensitive being. You know, when you call him out or you insult him on his platform, it's bye-bye. You know, Kara Rodswell did it when she said, oh, Andy, you're full of it. Nene Leakes did it publicly, and I don't think we're going to ever see her back on Bravo. I think that was a defining moment for Kelly, and she just fired herself at that reunion.
We're gonna have to see. I mean, yeah, this is again, I think it was deflection at its finest for not wanting, like she was like, what do you want from me? But it's like, well, if you're going to say it, back it up. Why you can't again just go recklessly do or say things like, oh, I was drunk and that's why I offered a kid illegal substances. No, these are your actions and you have to be held accountable for your actions. When you're mocking a global pandemic where people are losing family members, losing their lives, like becoming widows and orphans because of this coronavirus. You know, you can't just go on and mock it and think that a network who employs you is not going to want you to answer for it. That doesn't make sense. So again, I just found it to be deflection.
Well said, Adam. Yeah, yes. Kelly Dodd's full of it. Bottom line, and we see right through it. You know, she's not fooling anyone.
Well, I'm curious again. I will have to wait in suspense for this exclusive, but I don't want to mention anything else about Real Housewives of Orange County because I have more questions and stuff, but I don't want to, now that I know you have an exclusive, my questions are regarding the future of Orange County, and I want to save that for that live because I'm sure I don't want you to accidentally spill anything and I know you're a professional, you wouldn't accidentally spill anything anyways, but you know, we've already, since we've talked about the reunion, I want to know about the future. So we'll have to wait.
We'll have to wait and tune in next week. Which is just a few days, maybe Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. And guys, again, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like button, show some love, and also go check out Monica on her YouTube channel, All About the Tea. I put her link inside of the description of this video for you guys in case you've been living under a rock and you don't know who Monica is. And she also has an amazing blog where she's dropping exclusives. You know, I've had maybe 1 or 2 fun exclusives in my short career on YouTube, but most of the time I'm recapping or bringing something to the table that I've read somewhere else and I'm just reporting on it. There's, you know, we've had this conversation. There is a difference. So I think it's very exciting what you do and that you bring new information to us. And honestly, it has to be somewhat rewarding just knowing that people come to you for the information to post on their blogs. Like, whether it's Reality Blurb or All About the Real Housewives or TMZ. I mean, it's just awesome. You're featured all the time, whether, again, it's on Bravo or the Wendy Williams show, you're featured. So I just want to say thank you, congratulations, and I am just honored to have you on my channel.
You're amazing. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, thank you. I appreciate it. God has been so good. And Adam, you too. I mean, you're killing it. The content that you put out every day, it's consistent, it's fresh, you're so kind. And I'm so happy you and I were able to forge a friendship through the fire, right?
Hey.
Through the fire, you know.
Like a phoenix rising up.
Absolutely. And you are rising. I'm very proud of you. I love everything you're doing. And I want to thank you so much for having me on. It's been an honor. I love to come on your platform. And I'm going to have you come on next week. And I'm going to spill that RHOCT, y'all.
Last time I was cringing so bad when you spilled the tea. I was like, what?
I know you weren't ready. That was too hot and heavy for you. That was too much. I should have prepared.
I was like,
Adam, this tea tonight, you want to come on tonight? It's shocking. It's really shocking. You said, yeah, no way. You didn't realize, you had no clue. You weren't ready.
I was not ready for that. But hey, I was like, listen, I was honored to be asked to be a part of it. But when it was said, I was like, what just happened? I was like, right. And I said to my fiance, I was like, I can't, Monica's not going to come on and say something that she doesn't have the receipts for. So this is just, this is going to play out anyways on the reunion, but just having that information in your lap, it's like you feel like you got to go wash your hands or something.
Absolutely.
You know? It's like,
and when the person told me the tea, they was like, please don't say anything. And I looked at the phone like, you don't realize you're talking to a blogger, right? Listen, a child is involved. I was obligated to say something. Obligated. I mean, that's not the kind of stuff you put in the back burner and wait for it to play out on the reunion. No. Yeah, some heavy stuff. It was really heavy. I'm sorry that, it hits you like a ton of bricks like that.
Hey, no.
Sometimes it gets that way. Some of these things that information I'm privy to is outrageous. I'm
a big boy. It's okay.
That's great. All right.
Thank you, Monica, again. And
thank you.
As always, it's a pleasure. And I will be in touch and see you hopefully next week.
Sounds good. Everyone, thank you so much. Thank you, Adam. Bye.
Of course. See you next time.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, guys. How awesome is Monica? I thought that was a great conversation and discussion. Just a pleasure, an absolute pleasure having her on. Again, like I said, I come on here and I love to report news that I find out to you guys, but Monica's dropping exclusives. I don't always have people, because I am, on here always the nice guy and super positive. I don't always have people reaching out to me with all of the scoop or the gossip. And I haven't been in this business as long. So I just really respect when someone has longevity in their career. Monica's been in the game for 8 years now. So again, if you haven't, go check out her blog, check out her website. Monica, her website is allaboutthetea.com, and check out her YouTube channel, which I attached the link inside of this description. Guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like button, and I'm going to go have some lunch. Bye, guys. See you next time. Bye, bye, bye.